Coach, your overall thoughts on this past weekend? Another two games where you're trying to get over the hump and the guys just can't finish. But overall, how do you think they played?
Do you want to do the press conference? You said everything I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think we generated the most shots we've had in a game this year. I think we had 36 shots, a lot of chances, controlled a lot of the play. They got some momentum on some of their goals. The one goal actually shouldn't have counted the power play goal, just so everybody knows. The rules did admit they screwed it up, but it doesn't take away from the result of the game. But it still comes down to us creating the offense like we have, manufacturing shots, developing grade A scoring chances, and just finding a way to convert them. And we've been saying that for a while now. And then the same thing on Saturday night. I think we had 8 or 9 grade A chances in the first period where they didn't have any at all, and then they get 1 or 2 looks and they scored. So you're continually playing a little bit of catch-up hockey, and sometimes it gets in the kid's head, hey, we haven't got 1 goal, it's hard to get 2. But their focus has been there. I thought we had chances. We scored late in the game there. I thought we had chances late, 2 or 3 late, to tie it up, but we're unable to do so. But in saying all that, I think the guys have done a great job not imploding or getting too frustrated where their quality of play goes down. I thought for long segments of both games, like I said, we controlled the pace of the game and we had the puck a lot more. So got to give credit to Ferris. They dug in, found a way. Basically, to me, it came down to special teams, and their special teams were better than ours.
One last series before a little break. What are you hoping to see this weekend from the guys, knowing they get a little time off after this? You want to see them lay it all out there?
Yeah, obviously we want them to do that. I think it's always difficult during the exam week and in the games before the break. You mentally you got to be engaged, and all we've asked from our players right now, hey, when you're at the rink, let's work. When you're away from the rink, let's take care of our academics. And then when we get on the bus, head down to Bowling Green. Once your exams are all done, we're thinking about Friday night and our own quality of play and continue with the process. They're a different team than what we've seen. They get after it. They're hard. They're heavy. They're on pucks. A lot of puck pressure. Things happen real quickly in their arena, so we're going to have to adjust to that a little bit. But again, it's another game to get better. Our guys are in positive spirits right now. They know we're getting chances. They know we're getting close to getting over the hump, as you had mentioned, by that 1 goal. And we're hoping to do so here on a Friday night.
Hey, Luds. I'm working on a feature on Tanner for the GLI. When you got here and he was one of the guys that stayed, what makes him a good leader for this team, and why was he the guy that was going to put a C on his chest this year?
Well, a couple different things factored in that. I really think he wanted to be part of the. First of all, he loves it here. He loves the UP. He loves Northern, and he wants to be part of the rebuilding process. And kudos to him. Great person, leads the right way. We basically had, and you guys know this, 35 days or so to recruit 24 players because we only had 4 returning players. And we're fortunate enough that Tanner stuck around, and same with the other 3. And not only did our coaches see him as a leader because he wanted to be here, the guys voted upon it, and he was almost unanimous to select as a C. And here's a guy that a lot of people don't know. I think he only had 12 games of college experience, and you put a C on. So you add that to his history of having some injuries and stuff and getting his quality of play up, and then also mounting on the pressure of leading this young group in the right way. And he's done a tremendous job with it. He carries a presence in the locker room, quiet by nature, but the guys respect him when he speaks. Everybody listens.
This Saturday, Upper Iowa, that means a lot in terms of region, right? And knowing how strong that team is.
Yeah.
What do they do really well that you're going to have to stop?
They are. I really like and hate watching them at the same time. They're have 4 of their 5 starters back from last year. Obviously, a really good team last year. The kid they lost is an All-American. So when you lose a guy like that, you change a little bit. And the way they changed is they tripled down on everything they do. They're crashing 5 to the glass every time. They're pressing every possession. They are just coming at you. They're launching threes statistically poorly right now, even though they're winning, because they don't care. They just miss them, go get them, and then put them back in. And it is super impressive to watch. I've always thought Brooks is, going back to the NSIC, one of the best coaches in the country, and it's a tough place to consistently win at. They're not great in all their other sports, but he's built a great program with a great culture, and it's been kind of fun watching this year's version of them, because they are not even playing well and they're just winning. So I hope they can also not play well one more day on Saturday, and then we got to do a good job of controlling what we are usually good at controlling, which are rebounds and turnovers and free throws, because in a lot of ways our two teams are a mirror image of each other, I think, this year, in the sense of I don't think either of us think we're playing very well, but we're both controlling the rebounding, the turnovers, and the free throws, and the numbers come back to both of us with the possessions, and both teams are doing that very clearly, intentionally, and there's everything we're both doing leads to the same result. So it'll be fascinating to see just kind of the bending of wills there, and who can win those battles.
I like your press, and that's part of winning the turnover battle. Was that a concerted effort coming into the season? Like, we're gonna have to muck things up,
yep,
and take the ball away.
For sure. We've been, since I've been here for 5 straight years, we've been elite at defensive rebounding and not turning it over on offense. Those 2 things have been really, really good. But what we haven't done is we haven't necessarily won turnover battles the way you'd expect, with being one of the best teams at not turning it over, because we've also forced no turnovers. So going into this year, we've actually done a better job each year at offensive rebounding. So we've started gaining an advantage there, but with taking care of the ball so well, we still haven't gained that edge on the turnovers. So we thought we needed to add another area that we could maybe have some success in. And so the turnovers, we thought that adding the press and just giving ourselves an option of getting some that way would be a way we could, boost up those possessions even more. And the Parkside game was a little closer on the turnovers. We lost them by 2. I think it's the first time we lost. But we were plus 15 or 17 on rebounding. And then Purdue is a perfect example where that game was pretty even, but I think we were plus 7 in turnovers and plus 7 in rebounding. Well, that's 14 possessions. That's the margins of winning or losing a game. And I think we've done a really good job of embracing that as a team. And like I said, it'll be interesting because that's also where Upper Iowa is thriving.
So are we calling Upper Iowa the Kansas City Chiefs of college basketball?
What, just the possession battle thing, or
just the fact they keep winning and you wonder why?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's with them. They do a great job of identifying kids that fit. They dominate their area. We obviously, our area tends to be Wisconsin, which isn't that close to here. But I think that may be another thing we have in common is they do such a good job of dominating that Iowa area, and then they go into corners of Minnesota and Wisconsin, and they get all these kids that are from around there that buy into the culture. And then again, they're really well coached, and he's been there a long time. I don't know offhand how many years he's been there, but it seems like he's consistent with bringing in the right guys, and then they develop the heck out of guys. They get guys that others maybe didn't want or passed on, and by the time they get to their 3rd and 4th and 5th year, they're great players. And again, there's we have a lot of teams in the GLIAC that are like that, and I like playing in non-conference some of these programs that we admire in ways, because I think it gets us better because we're prepping for a team, and hopefully we're learning from the team as we're prepping for them.
Is there something you guys took away or really learned from those 2 top 10 losses on the road that you've been able to turn around and get these 3 straight wins?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just trying to individually realize how hard it is to get ready for games like that, and maybe how hard you have to play in games like that. I also think it was just a good reminder that we'd been trying to tell him that we weren't probably quite where we needed to be, and I think somewhat just seeing that was a great reminder. The other thing I'd say is we did pretty radically change our defense heading into the Duluth game, and it didn't help us beat Duluth because they hit a bunch of threes, but it probably has caused Duluth to lose the 3 games after ours because everyone kind of adjusted to that. And even though we're not doing that strategy game in and game out, that was a Duluth specific thing, I think we did learn some things in that game about how to take away the paint. And so by having to get ready for an opponent like Duluth and make a really unique game plan that by all accounts really didn't work, I think it helped us, hone in on what somewhere between that extreme and our normal we can do to some of these teams that might be a little more drive first based and not shooting threes quite as much.
I think, Coach, I thought that Gerald, especially against Parkside, kind of stepped up and hit some big shots, but he's also finding his teammates, finished with 5 assists. What are you seeing from him and knowing that, on a given night he can go out and give you 20 points if you need it? Yeah,
I think, it's such an interesting dynamic with it always is when we have so much data in practice because we stat every day. Every single day we have the stats, so we have the year-long stats. And then early in the year, especially with guys that are new, you have a 5-game sample or a 7-game sample or a 3-game sample, and it's really easy for anyone, opposing coaches, you guys, even like parents of our players, to go, oh, someone's good and someone's a little less good because through 5 games, that's what 5 games of data says. And almost without fail, that practice data that's 120 days, it all kind of ends up coming to the average at some point. So some guy comes out and averages 20 the first 4 games, and another guy averages 5 the first 4 games. But we know they're both about 14 a game guys throughout the course of practice. Now, does it always end up perfect? No, but it's amazing how often that stuff catches up at some point, and numbers and variance end up evening out. And I think the college basketball season is so short, and NBA games 82 seasons. Even season stats sometimes can be very misleading. Like Dylan will go from shooting 40 to shooting 26, and now he's at 40 again. Maybe he's 40, maybe he's not, but he's certainly not 26 either. So with Gerald, to go back, we've seen that pretty consistently. The assist to turnover has been overwhelmingly positive. We think he's one of our best passers. His shooting percentages have been really good. Defensively, he's been our best defender. He's second in steals in practice to Biggie. And so we're going like, all right, come on. And the biggest challenge is, and I think coaches are the worst people in the world at this at college, is the one person who can ruin it more than anyone is us by going, oh man, he can't shoot in games. Most of that's fake. And it's a coach that ruined a kid. So for us, it's just been, come on, man, keep it up. You're good. Keep going. And Gerald was the latest one to kind of have that Jackson Dudek's going to have it at some point. He's shooting 40% in practice from 3. He's not making threes right now. He obviously did against Michigan State, but that doesn't go in the stats. So he's going to have a game. Biggie's been phenomenal. And then Derek, who I think's been really good at defense and some of that, in practice, he's the same. He's 4-to-1 assist to turnover. He's scoring the ball really well. He's rebounding it really well. So what can we do to get those next dominoes to fall? And unfortunately, the game where hopefully Derek has 18, that might mean that Brian and Gerald have less. But I think that's the whole point of a team and a team that's this deep. And we all just got to keep kind of realizing that it's going to be someone on each night. And that's this team's secret versus it was easier and in some ways a lot more convenient to just go, it's Max's night every night, or it's Max and Max's night every night. And we have that with Dylan right now, but I think there's gonna be a little bit of rotating, and I do think Gerald can become that consistent guy with assists and defense, and then he'll have some big scoring nights, and he'll have other nights where other guys will have those big scoring nights.
Saturday was fun to watch you guys come back, and especially just keep the perfect record going. Your opinion in that game, what was the key to the comeback and just keeping your foot on the gas in the second half too?
I think the big part was the timeout. We were down 12 in the third and had to call a timeout. We had to burn one. As soon as we did, me and Coach Jay were talking, and we're like, okay, we need a play that's going to get us, we need to score this possession. We need to score something. Before we even get back to the huddle, though, everybody is talking with each other and are like, hey, we're not losing to these guys. We got this. You just got to keep going. And it was more like the positive team vibe. Like right there, I was like, all right, we're okay. We just got to somehow grind this out. And then obviously went on a run. We got some stops. We held them to, one shot attempt, getting some rebounds too, I think was huge. And it was, again, contributions from all over our roster, which is great to see.
Yeah, I imagine the confidence level from everyone is just kind of through the roof after this start. Do you sense that? And especially, coming to the new year and you're going to have full GLIAC schedule.
Yeah.
Just how good is that to know your team's really bought in?
Oh, they are bought into each other, and I think that's the biggest thing. One person, and it's not going to be the same person who's hitting all the shots, who's making all the plays. It's literally a team effort, which I think is the biggest thing. I mean, Sarah Newcomer has been a big piece. Obviously, JC's been a big piece, but Sarah didn't have that great of a game, but then she did some little things defensively. She got some big rebounds. She took a charge. It's all those other little pieces that add up, and we're continuously putting them together as a collective unit, and I think that's what's really fun, and obviously winning it creates some confidence, but it's also fun, and they enjoy being around each other and just working together, which has been really cool to see. And obviously, we just take things one day at a time, though, and today we're 0-0. That's the kind of way we approach it. Northwood is the biggest game on our schedule right now.
Yeah. See a lot of college basketball teams that are really talented, good, but don't necessarily have the point guard piece. Just what has CJ done over the first eight games that show you she can facilitate and make the offense go?
It's the assist. I mean, she's not the biggest player, the tallest player, but she's a definite energy boost. Her positivity, just spreading it to everybody and getting people going. And then just her energy when she has the ball. I mean, she's pushing up the floor and she's yelling at her teammates, hey, if you're not looking for it, I can't get it to you, So she's done a great job just for her being undersized, but she plays way bigger than what she is, and she's probably one of our toughest players.
I take it she does not have much of a scoring mentality.
Oh, she can score. She hits some threes, but she's the true point guard, right? Like her job is to facilitate and to get other people going. But when she has her opportunity, she's going to the rim or she's knocking down shots, and that makes her even more effective on the court with her at her size. That she can add a couple different dimensions to us.
And then, Coach, kind of with this extended break, 13 days before the 20th, 10 now.
Yep.
What does practice, the regiment look like? You kind of come off a high when you win a game and you want to get back on the court, but kind of have this extended break. So what does the schedule look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's kind of like what we had over Thanksgiving break. We didn't really have a game there either. So we got a little bit of time here. Finals is this week, so we're really focusing in the classroom, making sure we take care of business there. And then next week we'll get after it before we get on the road again. Got a couple days of practice to figure some things out, and just have them, physically sound, mentally sound. They can kind of have a little relief once the finals series is done, and then we'll get back after it, because Northwood, that's going to not be an easy game for us, especially on the road. We got to go and we got to be ready.
How big is the Ashland game in terms of region?
Oh, both of them are big, Northwood and
I realize
Ashland,
Northwood's
because
big,
Northwood just beat Ashland.
Oh, did they?
They did. So this is these two games, they're very good in region, and it's going to help us. So again, every game is important, and that's why I said right now it's the Northwood team. We got to go to their house, and we got to make sure that we take care of our business.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, it's crazy, and that's why we schedule who.
Years past, you would have never said that.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's different, and so we got to be ready to go no matter who we play. Hi.
We talked about the Calvin College invite. It's
Yeah.
7 athletes hitting NCAA marks.
Yeah.
For you going into that, what does that mean? Going into the rest of the season?
Yeah, no, that was exactly what we needed to do. We had multiple B cuts. We have 5 relays that have punched their ticket to go to Indianapolis for the NCAA championships. And we're pretty excited about that. I was really happy to see our male diver, Toby Stiles, got back, and he actually broke his own school record. And he's also punched his ticket to go to NCAAs, and he won both boards. So that was really, really cool. He beat the Grand Valley guy that won conference last year. So we're really happy to see him looking so good. Our women just did great. We had a really fun race. We had our women's 200 medley relay. ended up kind of the way it fell was all senior girls, and they made the NCAA cut together, and so that they just swam wonderful. So Becca Burrows is really swimming just better than she's ever had, and she's really carried our relays, and she was our only finalist in the 50 free. We're pretty excited about all of that. And our two distance women, 1-2 in the mile, and they both got NCAA B cuts. They were within a 200ths of each other in a 17-minute race. So that's kind of fun to watch as well.
And then kind of, we talked about this last week, but with the 3-day event and kind of managing both things, how do you think that your team managed the weekend? And then, well, obviously the success that they had shows it.
Yeah, I really think that it was really good for our freshmen to figure out like what they need to do between prelims and finals, and watching the upperclassmen either use the normal tech or roll out, or sometimes they'll go make an ice bath in their hotel room, just how they need to fuel, and cheering for each other, but also taking care of yourself, trying to make sure that you're ready to go. I think it was a really good learning experience. I think they did pretty well managing all that, warming up on their own, warming down on their own, making sure they were ready for their races. There was always a ton that's going on at that meet, and diving's going on at the same time as swimming, and everybody's trying to prep for their race coming up, and I think they managed it really well.
How involved do you get in between trying to teach one person how to go down and back up on the same day like that? Do you have a strict way of doing it, or do you really have to be original?
It's fairly chaotic, especially as a coach, because you have watched somebody swim and then they're coming over to talk to you and you're kind of going over, but you also have to have another eye because you have someone else in the water. So you're constantly, trying to give feedback of a race that was 5 minutes ago, and, remembering all of that, and taking splits and trying not to miss the person in the water. And, once in a while, if I don't have someone in that heat, I might peek down and I see somebody go off the board and for diving and then come back. But it feels like a lot. I get just as tired between prelims and finals as they do. I always tell them I feel like I swim every race with them, so I feel you're kind of exhausted after each session. But no, there's a lot of that, and it's on them. Like, I don't have time to go find them. It's on them to come back and talk to us, because we need a video, and someone's always in the water, so someone's always competing. So you kind of have to always be ready. It's a lot.
I would say your assistant.
Yeah, my associate head coach, Matt, is incredible. Yeah, and he coaches solely the sprinters, but he helps with everybody, and great technician and gives amazing feedback. And he's really done a lot in our videotaping and stroke analysis, and I think it's really made a difference, especially with our sprinters. Yeah. Pretty
you
cool.
guys headed to Miami this weekend?
Yeah, I'm taking 3 women and 3 men to the collegiate open water championship. So that should be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, going to Miami from the UP in December isn't the worst thing. You just when you have this group together that's going on this trip to compete, do you try and make sure they soak it all in when they're competing with kids from across the country and stuff?
It is pretty fun. Yeah, we do. I will say we're really hoping everything goes as planned. Last year we got down there and the race got canceled because there was the waves were too big, and the weather was horrible. So we ended up training for a couple days and coming back because we really couldn't. They're all flying home from there, so it's not like it could transition everything really well. But we ended up training for a couple days. So we have a few people that are coming back and that were on that trip last year that are really hoping we are able to get in and go. So, but we do. It's nice when you versus traveling with almost 60 people than traveling with 6. Like, it's kind of nice. I don't have to make reservations. I can just walk into a restaurant and say, there's 7 of us, which is pretty nice and a little bit more relaxed, and you get more one-on-one time for sure. Yeah, so it'll be good.
Surfboards weren't optional.
Huh?
Surfboards weren't optional.
No surfboards. Although if we have time after the race, we might do a little body surfing. We'll see what happens.
And then, Coach, that kind of the last one before a long break. So,
yeah.
Just of the rest of the team, what does the schedule kind of look like for them headed into the holiday, and then coming down to the holiday, getting ready for January 18th, I think.
Yeah. So we, they get to go home after finals, and then they have a couple weeks at home. And, for us, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking time because our conference is in February. So if they go home and do nothing, we're in trouble, So we, I really trust them, and we kind of talk to them and give them ideas on what they should do. But a lot of times they go back to their high school coach, but they can't go home and do nothing, or we don't have time to get them back into shape when we have conference coming up. So yeah, and Green Bay and Stevens Point, and there's a lot of competitions that happen. So yeah.